What is up, everybody? Welcome back to this episode of Home Built Workshop, and welcome to my guitar repair bench where I have a problem we need to solve, so stay tuned. So you're probably wondering, what is the problem that we're going to solve? Well, like a lot of rooms, the light is in the center, mounted on the ceiling, and it shines down at this angle. Unfortunately, when I'm at the bench, it is shining on the back of my head, which casts a really bad shadow, which makes it kind of hard to see. So I'm thinking some kind of a pendant light that will mount up on the wall and hang over top of the bench is what we need to solve this problem. So let's head out into the shop, fire up some tools, and get this fixed. I looked through the material that I had on hand and I found these great pieces of barnwood that I think are going to work really good for these lights.
I'll start out by jointing one edge nice and straight. Now I really wanted to keep the barnwood edges for this, but these pieces are just a little bit too wide and I didn't think the proportions would look right. Now on the table saw, I'll rip them all down to the same width. And cross-cut them to length.
With two of the three pieces cut, let me show you how this is going to go together. This is the piece that's going to go against the wall. This is going to fit into a dado that I'm going to cut right here. This will be a 90-degree angle, and then there'll be an angle bracket that comes down this way. I want to get the dado cut now before I make this last piece, so that way I can get actual measurements. It's going to be mitered at 45 degrees on each end, and I want it to fit really well. So I'm going to cut that dado now.
I'm just going to use my regular table saw blade, and I'll make a bunch of small cuts, inching the piece over every time.
That'll work. Now I'll use an angle gauge and set my table saw to 45 degrees. These little things are cool. It makes setting angles really nice. Link in the description if you need one. I've got this little jig made so that I can put it on either side of the blade to make either a left hand or right hand cut. Because my blade only tips one way, this is a way around it.
And since the table saw doesn't leave a flat bottom cut, especially when it's tipped, I've got to spend some time with a file to clean up all those grooves. Now I'm going to mark out for some mounting holes so that I can mount these brackets to the wall. I also need to drill a couple of holes for the cord to pass through. Now I'll use a straight cutting bit in my router and route a small groove in the back. The cord will sit in this groove and allow the bracket to sit flat against the wall.
So now that I've got all the routing and drilling done, it's time to glue these things together. While the glue's drying, let's move ahead and get these things wired up.
Now there's nothing fancy about the wiring here, it's just connecting your 3 different wires to the proper terminals. Now I am not an electrician, but I will say if you are not 100% comfortable wiring up some components like this, you probably should call for some help. You want to make sure this is done correctly to avoid any safety hazards.
Now we're back to the brackets, the glue is dry. One thing that I want to try to do is to add a little bit of color back to this edge. It doesn't quite match that gray, brown barn wood anymore. I don't expect to be able to match it perfectly, but I do want to add just a little bit of gray water-based dye to the edge. Hopefully it'll add just a teensy bit of color to it and help the colors blend in a little bit better.
There's a lot of other ways you could color this edge. I've seen really good results using a solution made from steel wool and vinegar. It has a really neat brown rusty color and really adds a nice aged look to the wood. It's an option worth looking into.
The dye looks like it worked pretty well. It's got a nice gray color. It's very similar to parts of the barnwood, so I think it's gonna look okay. So now I wanna just sand it down lightly just to make sure there's no splinters, and then I'm gonna give it a coat of boiled linseed oil and we'll finish this project up. So now with our wiring mostly complete and our brackets done, let's put the two together. So this is actually going to go together really easy. I'm just going to feed the wire up through the holes that I already drilled. The wire will run down the wall in that groove. This is gonna work.
This electrical cord is rated for use as a pendant light. It can support the weight as long as you don't go over the recommended amount. Now I just have to wire the plug on the very end. That'll wrap up all of the wiring.
So now I can just install a little shade. Now let's plug this in, test it out. That's cool, I like it. There's not a switch hooked up directly to this, it's going to be on a switched outlet, so no switch is required for this. So now, let me get these installed and let's see how much of a difference it really makes. So I've got these lamps screwed to the wall, let's turn them on. Now that is a huge difference. Now I'm almost not lit up enough this way for video stuff, but man, back here, wow! I can see if I'm working on something, this is going to be a huge improvement. I am super happy to have these lights up. It is going to be so nice now to be able to work on something and actually be able to see what's going on. So thanks a lot for tuning into this video, everyone. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big old thumbs up. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you get updates from YouTube every time I post a new video. There's a bunch of links down in the description to places like my website and social media, so head on down there, check those out. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time. And it's freezing. It's freezing cold. It's like 18 degrees outside. There's snow blowing around. and I'm out here trying to work on a project. Yeah, I can't sit idle. I got a video rendering. Gotta try to do something. How do you get 38.5?
I'm not sure why I got a scratchy throat, but I will tell you that right now in the shop, it's 38 degrees.
Man, I am bundled up. I've got a t-shirt, I've got a thermal shirt, I've got this sweatshirt, I've got thermal pants, regular pants, and my overalls, plus wool socks and insulated shoes, and I'm still cold.
My feet are frozen.
Just in case you're wondering why this video may have so many voiceovers in it, my throat, it's all scratchy.
Want to see something funny? I've got overalls on and glue in the pocket to keep it warm. I don't think this is how it's supposed to go. Me all tied up with wire.
How cool would it be to have like a bucket and you could just full of linseed oil and you just dunk your stuff in there and done?
Surely I'm not the only one that thinks that would be pretty awesome.
So now with our wiring mostly complete, my voice, man.